Hey everybody, I'm Adam, and this is Think Club. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at one of the conflations that Steve Woodford or Rationality Rules made in his response video to me. Now, admittedly, I had never heard of the Post-Hoc fallacy. I didn't bring it up in my video, obviously, because I never heard of it. But Steve pointed out that I was talking about post-hoc reasoning, and he conflated post-hoc reasoning with the post-hoc fallacy, accuses me of accusing him of the post-hoc fallacy, which he's not making and I didn't accuse him of, and then accuses me of not knowing the difference between the post-hoc fallacy and post-hoc reasoning. And, fair enough, because I never heard of the post-hoc fallacy before. So I will let Steve explain to you the difference between post-hoc reasoning and the post-hoc fallacy.
What he just described is not post-hoc reasoning, it's confirmation bias. Post-hoc reasoning is actually a form of false cause fallacy, and it occurs when someone erroneously assumes that because one event happened after another, the first event was the cause of the second. This is a side note, of course, but it's absolutely worth correcting.
So, as I said previously, I was not accusing him of the post-hoc fallacy. I was accusing him of post-hoc reasoning. Post-hoc reasoning is a form of confirmation bias, but as I've said before in previous videos, confirmation bias is kind of the concept, and post-hoc reasoning or motivated reasoning is the action. Rationality Rules even goes on to later make a very stinging joke about conflating the post-hoc fallacy, which again I never said or meant, with the straw man fallacy.
Let's move on to another of Adam's videos, this time his first, in which he post-hocs my criticism of Jordan defining any and all action as religious. Oh, sorry, not post-hocs, I mean strawmans.
Ah, yes. I remember when I knew everything. So I'm going to play a clip from Jonathan Haidt's book, The Righteous Mind, where he explains post-hoc reasoning a bit. He even uses the term post-hoc reasoning. And the irony here is very notable because what is going on here is a form of motivated reasoning. Rationality Rules has made a judgment about me that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I like Jordan Peterson, so there is no way that I could possibly be intelligent. And he has searched high and low to verify that judgment that he's made. He's not looking at things objectively. He's not saying to himself, well, maybe post-hoc reasoning is something I haven't heard of. He's saying post-hoc reasoning must be the post-hoc fallacy, and therefore I'm right.
If you want to see post-hoc reasoning in action, just watch the press secretary of a president or prime minister take questions from reporters. No matter how bad the policy, the secretary will find some way to praise or defend it. Reporters then challenge assertions and bring up contradictory quotes from the politician or even quotes straight from the press secretary on previous days. Sometimes you'll hear an awkward pause as the secretary searches for the right words. But what you'll never hear is, hey, that's a great point. Maybe we should rethink this policy. Press secretaries can't say that because they have no power to make or revise policy. They're told what the policy is, and their job is to find evidence and arguments that will justify the policy to the public. And that's one of the writer's main jobs, to be the full-time in-house press secretary for the elephant.
Now, Jonathan Haidt has this analogy of an elephant and a rider that he continually uses it in his first book, The Happiness Hypothesis, and he uses it again in The Righteous Mind, where he talks about how our moral intuitions are a lot like an elephant, and our conscious reasoning is a lot like a little rider on top of the elephant. And though the rider thinks that it is in control, he is in control, she is in control, really it's the elephant that's in control of the situation. The elephant, these rapid and unconscious intuitions followed by a post-hoc judgment and post-hoc reasoning to rationalize that judgment, is really an empirical and verifiable fact of our moral and religious psychology, our human psychology. And some of us are better at controlling our elephants and some of us aren't. My interest in this topic is I think you're a lot better at controlling your elephant or your unconscious intuitions followed by this motivated reasoning if you know that it exists, if you know this paradigm exists, if you know that you're making harsh judgments and looking for ways to justify those harsh judgments, if you understand this is an innate part of human nature, then you're much less likely to fall victim to that aspect of your own human nature. So I just thought I would put this out there because the post-hoc fallacy and post-hoc reasoning are two very different concepts, and I think distinguishing between the two concepts is important and a useful thing to know.
Well, first of all, if you don't have a purpose, it isn't that your life becomes neutral in a meaningless sense. It's that your life becomes characterized by unbearable suffering. Because the baseline condition of life is something like unbearable suffering.